PONDering with CGR Undertow.
You know, for a long time, I just kind of assumed that the Wii U was going to be a GameCube Part 2 in terms of success. But then the other day, and I'm not sure why, but I sat down and I actually looked at the numbers. And now, for the first time in a long time, I'm second-guessing all of my assumptions about the Wii U and about what it's going to be. Because now we're far enough into the system's life that it's not about what it's going to be, it's about what it is. And in April, the Wii U finally passed 10 million consoles sold, which sounds like a nice number. So what I did was I took those numbers and I compared them to the GameCube's numbers. And what I found was pretty surprising. So it turns out it took Nintendo about 20 months to sell 10 million GameCubes. The GameCube, keep in mind, being by far their least successful home console. 20 months to sell 10 million GameCubes. It took them about 29 months to sell that many Wii Us. That's almost 50% longer to sell 10 million Wii Us as it took to sell 10 million GameCubes. And all of a sudden, all these assumptions that I've had for years about the Wii U, don't worry, it'll be like the GameCube Part 2. Now I'm not so sure it will be. And I mean, the thing that's really crazy about that, about the fact that the Wii U, at its current pace, it's not likely to break 20 million consoles sold worldwide. Which is crazy for a Nintendo console, period, because even the GameCube broke 20 million consoles worldwide. The Wii U is not likely to do that at this current pace. What's crazy about that, what's even crazier about that, I should say, is that this is coming off the Wii, which sold more than 100 million consoles worldwide, is by far their most successful home console ever, and one of the most successful home consoles by anyone ever. So to go from record high to record low is pretty shocking. Look, we could probably spend hours here just talking about all the weird decisions Nintendo's made with the Wii U, all the bad decisions, really, that they've made this generation that have led the Wii U to being what is almost definitely going to be their least successful console ever. But I think the biggest reason, and the one I always come back to first when I think about this, is branding. The Wii brand kind of died in like 2009? I mean, maybe 2010, arguably, but probably more like 2009 is when the Wii's momentum kind of just hit a wall. So it turns out that the Wii U wasn't piggybacking off of a strong name. It was piggybacking off of a weakened name, off of a brand that, for whatever reason, had lost its appeal in the mainstream several years prior. And calling it the Wii again, calling it the Wii U, using that branding, I think that was their biggest mistake. They should have moved on. They should have, I mean, obviously the Wii U doesn't use the same controller. It doesn't have the same design ethos. What they should have done is moved on and made a clear break from the past. They should have said, hey, you know what? The Wii era is over and here's something new. Instead, they said, hey, you know that console you've been tired of for 2 years? Here's another one. So, you know, another really interesting thing about the failures of the Wii U isn't what we can blame them on, but what we can't. And what I mean is, it might have been the case years ago that the Wii U didn't have good games, right? And that's why it's failing. It's just a games issue. If it had the software library, people would buy it, and it would be a successful console. It just doesn't have good games. That's not true anymore. So if the console has the games, if it has the software, then why is the hardware lagging? Why aren't people buying a console that has good games? And again, I think the first thing is the branding. But the second thing, I think, is the controller. I mean, everyone understood the Wii. It was just swing to hit the tennis ball. And that simplicity is what made it so successful, because it tore down all the complexities that the modern video game industry likes to build up. It tore those down and made video games accessible for people again. But the Wii U is doing the opposite, trying to explain asymmetrical gameplay. I mean, just the term. So you went from this all-inclusive simplicity to a console with a really bad name that's also kind of complicated. And oh, by the way, I hope you didn't get rid of your controllers from the old console, because you actually will need those for this console, but you can't actually use those for the single player experience for the most part. You kind of need the gamepad. Oh, and you only get one of those, so I hope you have like at least 4 Wii remotes. Do you see what I mean? It's so complicated, it's ridiculous. And you know, that's obviously a problem, communicating what the Wii U is to people, which brings up another issue, which is marketing. And a lot of people talk about how Nintendo's failed at marketing with the Wii U, but I don't know that they have. I mean, well, clearly they have. They haven't done a good job of marketing the console. But you know, more importantly, how do you market the Wii U to the 2015 video game audience? Because let's be honest, it's not just that Nintendo made some bad decisions and some weird decisions. It's that the video game industry has changed, the consumer has changed, and what people expect of video games on a mainstream, massive level has changed. I mean, in a video game landscape that more than ever is defined by grit and masculinity and violence, does Pikmin work? You know, does Nintendo work? I mean, I recently had a conversation with my younger brother. He's in high school, and he asked me, it was about a year ago, he wanted to get a new console. And so he called me up, and he asked me, hey, I'm thinking about getting a new console. Which one should I get? The PS4 or the Xbox One? And I waited for him to finish the sentence, but he didn't. Those were his options. Nintendo isn't even on his radar. You know, unfortunately, I think that's probably indicative of a lot of kids his age, you know? And look, Nintendo hasn't been cool in a long time, all right? And to be honest, they probably never were cool. But at least they were an option. And in this 2015 modern gaming landscape, I'm not so sure they are anymore.